Most of us want a business that we do not have to be on every job site for every minute, overseeing every aspect of the job. We also want a business that allows us to take time away, whether it be a week vacation or 2 months in the winter into a warmer location. Well, our guest today, Matt, he's based out of Montana, and after 7 years of being in business, he's just figured out how to do just that. Own the business that doesn't require him to be there every day. This is going to be an amazing episode. We talked for quite a long time. I think you guys are going to absolutely love it. Matt's a great person. Before we kick into the episode with Matt, I just want to remind all of you, it is brought to you by Skid Steer Nation. We're your home for high quality American skid steer attachments. And I'm going to keep repeating it because I want everyone to know and eventually check out the website. But guys, we have built software to help you operate your business, not just create estimates and send out invoices, but to help build some of those workflows that you need assistance with, or maybe you don't, but it takes it off your plate and you don't have to keep it in a notebook. So if you're running your business out of a notebook, if you're running it out of a solid spreadsheet, or you're using softwares like Invoice Simple or Joist, guys, Toolbox could be a solution to help save you time and increase your revenue with your business. So head over to toolbox.com. You can sign up for free. You get 5 free estimates without needing to put down a credit card. You don't have to pay until you're ready to use it long term. Enough with me, my businesses, and our little ads. So enjoy the episode with Matt. I think you guys are going to absolutely love it. Well, Matt, thanks so much for joining us. I know you and I talked before we started recording that, we had some scheduling conflicts both on your end and my end. And I think this has been in the works now for a month and a half, maybe 2 months.
Month and a half.
Yeah. So I'm glad that we both had the tenacity to fight through those and still find a time that works for us. So I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, reading through some of like your survey questions and then doing a little bit of our, I call it Facebook, like ex-girlfriend stalking and creeping, our online research and stuff, I kind of came to understand that you had a lot of project management experience before you pulled the trigger and started your own business.
Yep. That was kind of the primary function of my career. I'll dive back and try to give you the summarized quick story over the course of close to 15 years now. So I went to college over in Butte, Montana. Started off in civil engineering because I thought that was the route I wanted to go. And once I saw organic chem on my future classes and barely passed intro to chem, I was like, well, maybe I don't want to design shit. I want to build it instead. So I went the business route. They had a construction tech program it was more so carpentry based at that point, but it was good just kind of get out in the field and have some classes out building stuff and then do the business classes. But graduated from there, didn't have a job offer at first. So I actually went to North Dakota during the big oil boom. Drove some truck there for like 4 months till I got my first official job offer from Barnard Construction. I'm sure a lot of people listening probably know who that is, but they're big, heavy civil, kind of all over the country, all over the world. Same type of work as Kiewit. Kiewit seems to resonate with people a little bit more, but same type of gig. Spent like 3 years with those guys, a lot of home office bidding. Spent some time up in Canada, out in the wilderness, redoing a penstock pipe for powerhouse transmission. Water transmission. Spent about 1.5 years in California and then decided I wanted to be back in Montana. So I went to work for a heavy highway contractor, was kind of out helping manage the paving crew out doing highway paving. Thought I was going to be back in Montana for the summer. Found myself right on the border of Montana and North Dakota doing 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I was like, no, I kind of messed up here, but got some good experience from that. Then I ran their gravel pit in Bozeman for about a year. And then I transitioned into vertical construction, got a project manager and soup on that for some warehouses and some apartment buildings and stuff like that. That landed me back over in Kalispell, where I'm from. And shortly after we started a project here, the owner was pretty good at robbing Peter to pay Paul, and then that transitioned to me getting paid anymore. So that was over, and so a lot of heavy project engineer to superintendent type roles kind of throughout the course of 7 years or so.
Nice. Did you start doing work on the side while you were still working for other companies, or was there like a clean break and then you just go and screw it? I'm going to take the plunge.
Right towards the end, when I saw the writing on the wall with that vertical contractor, I'd been asked by another couple buddies that were doing some dirt work to. They were out in the field doing everything, so they needed help with their submittals and RFIs, pay apps, and everything. So I was just kind of working for them as an independent, just kind of handled the back of house paperwork stuff, and just kind of getting paid based on a percentage of contract on that. And even some of those paychecks, I was looking at them like, this isn't really penciling. I'm making more money doing this for a few hours a week than I am out here scraping by with a guy that can't pay his contractors. So that was kind of the initial starting of it. I did that for a little while afterwards, but I really went into, I don't know, call it survival mode, I guess. I was willing to do about anything to make money. So I resorted back to my roots of high school and just doing odd jobs. So I was out raking leaves, shoveling dog shit, kind of doing whatever to go clean up yards, and had one gal needed her yard leveled with some fill dirt. So I went and rented a skid steer and brought in some dirt and graded it all out for her. And about a month later, I stumbled across a mini excavator up for sale about an hour north of us. Went and got the loan with a little help, about a $6,000 help from my mom. And that was kind of where it all started. And that was 2019, I think, May of 2019. So
I'm excited to ask this question because most of the people I meet started in either 2020 or 2021, but already having a business and you've got some loans on equipment and everything. When COVID hit, was your nerves at high end, or you booked out, or how did that affect you with your business?
It didn't really, honestly, with the business, it didn't really have much effect on me because we were, what was the terminology they used? Not critical, but we were the important workforce. I can't remember the terminology that was used during that time, but
essential.
Essential. That's what it was. So there wasn't really a ton of change for me. We actually had, that year we actually got our first commercial job that I was probably morbidly underbid, but I was out there doing it myself and just trying to make it work. But I actually just came across some Snapchat stories yesterday. And I was sitting in an excavator saying, nobody's making me wear a mask out here. And I was just in the excavator digging a foundation out. So it didn't really change much. Everything kind of progressed as normal throughout that.
Yeah. There's a lot of businesses that were born during that COVID era because it seemed
a ton.
After 3 to 6 months of sitting at home, every homeowner on the planet was like, well, I might as well get this fixed and that done and wanting to do this backyard project. So you hear a lot of businesses starting doing that. But I remember, because I work for a manufacturing company, when it kind of hit, we were all like, what's the landscape going to look like? What's that mean for the business? And, I'm a COVID business baby too, because they actually did a top-down layoff from president, directors, VPs, all of that to get lean because they didn't know what COVID was going to bring. And it was that time off that I was like, I'll just start Skid Steer Nation and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the other part with it, where we're at in the Flathead Valley, is it was really COVID. Like, this valley is absolutely beautiful, but I've just chalked it up to we're the only kind of major city in the state that doesn't have a four-year university, and also the only major city that's not on a primary interstate, that we've just kind of been nestled in here. Some people know about us, some people don't. And post-COVID, with everybody on TikTok or where they were traveling to because they weren't working and everybody was just in a van traveling around, like, we really got found out. So that springboarded it even more with everybody starting their businesses. Now it's very cool. I think we're outpacing Bozeman in growth here now too.
No kidding.
Yeah. Which is insane.
Yeah. That's wild. You've 2019, you and a mini excavator. If there's some stories in the middle, we can definitely talk about it, but I'm really excited to talk to you about 2026 because you have approximately 9 employees ish, and you're doing a bunch of commercial.
Yeah, primarily commercial work seems to be our bread and butter. And really like the new builds. We've done some remodel civil work on some schools, new Les Schwabs, new car washes. Those $500,000 to $1 million jobs seem to be kind of our main bread and butter. We'll do smaller stuff, we'll do bigger stuff, but it's just there's a lot of that work to be had. You just got to fight through the cutthroat of it all. And yeah, we have seven guys out in the field. And then we've got our office manager, our PM estimator, and then our truck driver mechanic. So we've got 10 right now.
10
and 11, including myself. So
yeah.
Yep. Which is a pretty happy spot.
I would say so. Did that growth happen like overnight? Did you get a couple projects where you had to go to like straight to 5-8 employees, or were you able to organically grow it, one or two here, one here?
It's fluctuated so much year to year, especially being seasonal. We always have a couple that'll, hopefully not this year. We had a few last year, but it fluctuates so much. We've had years where we started out with 3 guys out in the field, one of those being me, and then we were up to 8, 9 because the project started and they hit, which in hindsight now was necessary because we needed to facilitate the jobs. But we grew to an amount of employees that a lot of them weren't qualified, and we didn't have the structure in place to make sure that they were doing the right thing and following through with the work. So we've really kind of bounced between this from 2021 till now. We've kind of bounced between this 3 and 10 of guys out in the field. And it seems like every time we're in that 6, 7 realm, that's where we can kind of really hone in, be efficient, run a little bit leaner, and not to say this insensitively, but not to have like, you get to a point where you just kind of got extra bodies there because you think you need more guys, but there's not the ability to hold their hand throughout the whole day, and they don't have the ambition to jump in and learn. So they get overstepped, and the guys that are really knowledgeable and that really want to get the job done end up doing it, and they're just kind of standing there with their hands in their pockets. So we've kind of tried to get away from that and just have good, solid guys where there's not a one guy that we have that we couldn't go throw in a truck to load, or go throw in an excavator to load trucks or whatever it may be. So,
and just from my, assumption and watching contractors over the many, many years is I feel like 6, 7 is a great number because you can break them up into 2 good crews for smaller projects, or you can combine them into 1 crew for larger projects. And there's not a lot of like, they work with each other enough that they can get into a rhythm.
Yep. We were on 4 different projects yesterday with those 7. We had a couple fill in, 1-2 day jobs. We pick up some of those to fill in between waiting on permits and all the other bureaucratic stuff that happens. So we had one out and one in Big Fork. We had another couple out putting in some RCP up north of Kalispell, another couple on another one in Big Fork, and another couple and one in Creston, working on 4 different jobs. So yeah, you have the ability to do that where it's like, hey, and that goes back to too, if you have competent people that care about learning this and will listen to direction and want to be able to understand this trade. I mean, it goes from a job that you'd have to send 3 people to hope it gets done in a day to you've got that one competent person that just understands, and they can just haul the machine out and they can get it done, and you can check in with them, make sure they're lined out, make sure the homeowner's happy, and away you go. And then you have the ability, like you said, if we're out cutting subgrade and we're also trying to put in pipe, you can break into a couple crews on one job site and slam a bunch of work out. Mm-hmm. And having everybody where they get along together too, because we definitely mix and match our crews depending on what the needs are on that job. Because as any crew, you've got guys that some are better in a dozer, some are better in an excavator, some are better with laying pipe, some are better with grade, and just so you end up mixing and matching, and everybody gets along really well too. So it works out even better.
Yeah. 2-part question for you. What would you describe your culture like today? And looking back, did you actively build it, or did you just kind of like stumble into it?
Say probably a combination, honestly. I think where we're at now is what I've subconsciously always envisioned. But as far as proactive steps to get there, it's hard to say that I followed an actual like blueprint to do that, because a lot of it's been so much trial and error where it's like, hey, I know that I want a crew of guys that likes dirt work, that wants to be here, that wants to learn pipe, that wants to learn grade, that wants to learn in all the machines. I want everybody to get along and enjoy being here, but trying to fill in those pieces and eliminate cancer throughout, just kind of, you lose course of what that goal is a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of 2-part. I'm happy with where we're at, but it wasn't wasn't a formulated pathway. That's for sure.
Yeah. With those experiences you've had hiring and firing and everything else, how has your interview process changed over the years?
The biggest change I've made on this is in the last 6 months or a year, where I've pretty much taken myself out of the interview process. Because what I've found over the years is I've got a soft heart for guys. If they're going through some shit in their life or whatever, I'll internalize that and just kind of want to do whatever to make sure they're still working, whether in 99.9% of those cases, myself or my business hasn't created those problems for those people. Those are problems in their own life, and you want to look out for people, but I look out too much, and that's burnt me big time. I've had guys that I've kept around for 2 years longer than they needed to be there because they just weren't performing. So I've kind of eliminated that from my scope of operations, and our project manager and our foreman. I'll have the initial conversation with somebody. I'll take the phone call, look at the resume, show it to the guys. Hey, what do you think? Think this guy'd be a good fit? Cool. I'll set up an interview. And sometimes I'll sit in on them and ask some questions, but I tell people that we're bringing on to, like, hey, I'm not around in the field that much. And that's the truth. I'll pop in and out, check in, make sure things are going good, answer questions, but I'm not the one that works directly with these guys or gals every single day. And I just kind of came to me this year. I'm like, it doesn't make sense for me to hire these guys, send them out there, and then they're causing problems with everybody else and they feel like they can't do anything about it. So I put it on those guys' shoulder, like, hey, if you think he's going to be a good fit, like, get my final approval, but let's get him rolling. And if he's becoming a problem, you have every right to get rid of him. Because I'll sit there and I'll come up with a reason to not.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge
good.
one.
That's amazing. Like, I'm kind of drawing a blank right now, but just like self-observation, right? Like knowing your strengths and weaknesses.
Yep.
And I just remember being in middle school and you suck at one subject. Your teacher's like, you got to work harder. Your parents are like, you got to work harder. So we always learn, like, oh, you're not good at something, just work harder until you're good at it or proficient at it. And then as you get older in business, you're like, no, man, you just double down on the things you're really good at and you hire people to do the things that are your strong suit.
Yeah, you fill those voids where that is their strong suit. And that's what they're good at. It's just that whole concept has just made so much sense to me over the last 6 months. And I've talked to other buddies that own dirt companies too, and they've said the same thing. Like, I do not do the hiring or firing. Like, that is because the other problem I ran into it over the past, and this is why we've kind of established a hierarchy, which was actually the idea of our current foreman, because he's ex-military, and military is all about hierarchy. And just that, who they're reporting to, because for years, probably 6 years, I'd be out running around doing what I'm doing, looking at jobs, checking in on jobs, doing bids, everything. And if we had 4 people on the same job site, within 10 minutes, I'd get a call from every single one of them. And I'm like, guys, I'm not looking at what you're looking at. Call it Tyler. Okay, just head over and go do this. I'd get a call from Nathan and he'd say, hey, Tyler's over doing this. I'd be like, well, I told him to. And it would just just kind of chaotic. So now it's like, hey, everybody reports to the foreman. If he doesn't know the answer, he'll call me, just to kind of clean up the phone channels a little bit.
Yep.
And it's not that I don't like any of the guys. I love everybody that works here, but it just creates so much more efficiency throughout the day, where I'm not taking a phone call about every little thing, like, hey, I don't have a shovel, my shovel broke, or hey, I need another tape measure. And just cleaning up that type of stuff has been huge.
Yeah, 100%. And I always like that when people start implementing that, because when you have like a foreman and an owner, I love using childhood analogies, right? But it's like going to ask your mom, hey, can I stay at Jimmy's house tonight? I don't know. You can't. I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, Dad, can I stay at Jimmy's? What'd your mom say? She said to ask you. Yeah, you can stay there. Like, you pit them against each other. Yep. Like, how do I get what I want and not really care about?
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. So that's been a huge piece for me, because even sitting down and doing something like this in the afternoon, if we were trying to schedule this 3 years ago, I would have said, well, we're gonna have to do this at about 11 p.m. because otherwise my phone's blowing up. And I mean, so far,
or I'll catch you in January.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's been huge. It's allowed me to really focus on, the phone calls we get about going and looking at a development project and going and getting boots on the ground, talking to the owner, coming up with what our strategy is going to be for bidding it, timelines with people, and then taking that to our project manager estimator, feeding him that information to start putting the bids together so we can review that when he has it prepared, and just the high level of it, which if we can backtrack actually with when you asked kind of what my goal was as far as how everything would be balanced and everything, that's been my goal for many years, is kind of floating at that 10,000 foot level and being able to just make sure everybody that's within our organization has what they need and has the tools they need to succeed, and fill in those gaps. You're working on the bids. If you got a question on it, let me know. We'll review it before we send it out, but that's your job. And I'm going to take all that time I was spending on that to go take care of other things. Same with the foreman, down to guys in the machine, down to guys fitting pipe. That was all me. So yeah, there was a time when I had to go line out every single number for every storm drain can we were putting in. And now that doesn't have to happen.
That's nice. Your ability to start getting some process or some systems and people in place in your company so that you no longer were the bottleneck. Were you trying to do that from day one because of your experience at those larger companies and the way you saw things work? Or did you, a lot of guys I know kind of forget the process and structure they learned at the big companies and they go do it themselves. And it isn't until that they're ready to break from the pressure and the stress and the burnout that they're I don't know why I'm not building this so that other people can come in and help me. What was your journey with that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people could resonate with this too. I think when you get going, you look out, not that you don't have to look out for the dollar as you keep growing, because you do, but there are some things you don't worry about as much with that dollar. But in the beginning, as I was doing the bidding, I was doing the actual physical work, I was running the parts, I was going and picking up the rental equipment, I was handling the insurance, I was handling the books just via spreadsheet, all of those things, because I'm I have to do this because I can't spend the money on the employee to do it for you. And you kind of do hit a breaking point where just say that bottleneck just has to explode because you got no other option. One, for just personal life stress, and two, for just growth, where you're I think the first one I did was hire an outside accountant to handle the books rather than hopping on an Excel spreadsheet every single night, putting in my receipts, putting in what we made. That was, probably 10 hours a week of just doing stuff like that and handwriting checks and sending out payments. When I gave that to an accountant and it was, call it $1,000 a month, I was like, what have I been doing this whole time? This is ridiculous. I get freed up so much time. And really every major position I've hired since has been a very similar process where you're doing all this extracurricular stuff and you look at it as is this the best use of my time right now to really keep this business on track and keep growing? Do I need to be handwriting checks right now? Probably not the best use of my time in the middle of the day. So, but yeah, I think you see where you want to be with it. But I think the money's a stronghold for a long time. I know it was for me and for a lot of other people too, where it's well, I can do it. Why would I pay somebody $30 an hour to do that when I can do it? And you get to a point where well, it's kind of taken away from my life as well. I don't need to be working 18 hours a day.
Absolutely not. I'm curious to get your take on this. Let's hypothetically say that I'm a business owner, year and a half in, we're just starting to hit some growth strides, and you and I were talking. What order would you tell me I would need to look at start hiring it out, whether it be actual true employees or fractional accountants, or where would you tell a younger business move this first and then work to here?
I would say the outside accountant first would be a huge one. We did that for a few years. We moved into kind of an internal, very, very part-time to help with basically the AR and AP stuff. And then we moved into a full-time office manager, which she takes care of a lot of things I don't even realize. It's all the permitting, all the licensing, keeping everything up to snuff on that. So I'd start with the outside accountant because that was a huge one. And having that peace of mind that everything's going to be right for tax prep and everything, it really helps you focus on that. That would be number one. As you grow more, I'd say the admin, in-house admin, even if that's part-time, 15, 20 hours a week, just for all those extracurricular stuff. And then the next big one I put into place was actually the PM and estimator. Because as you get to that point where you've got all these hard bid dates and everything, it gets pretty impossible to make sure that the field's taken care of while you're trying to do those bids. There was many times I'm out in the field till 5 and I'm on the computer till 10 or 11 trying to crank out bids and rinse and repeat the next day. And that it burns you out. And that's a huge position to have.
Yeah. Curious to ask this question. Looking back at the bids you created when you were doing that 12, 16-hour days, how many mistakes did you make in the bids? Because you were either exhausted at night or you rushed through them. And how much money did those mistakes cost you? Because I'm sure you remember them.
Yeah, plenty. I look back at old bids and how I put them together, and all of the costs that I didn't account for within things was pretty incredible. And I mean, rates were a lot different pre-COVID too. Trucking was $100 an hour instead of 140. But yeah, I mean, you get the brain fatigue and you miss shit.
Well, a good estimator, PM, they typically pay for themselves just because they don't make the mistakes that you make because you're wearing 19 hats and it's 11 o'clock at night. And, most owners don't look at that. They look at the job and like, damn it, I lost 20 grand. I lost 20 grand profit on that job because I didn't see that. Yep. But they can't say, well, that could have been used as a salary for a professional.
Yep. Yeah. And that goes back to what I was saying, the bottleneck squeeze of you don't want to spend money on certain aspects. It's like, yeah, I mean, at first it might be like, okay, I'm going to be paying a $80,000 salary or whatever it is for this position. And you're like, damn, that's a lot of money. But then once you get into it and all those tasks, you don't have to stress yourself out while shit's going sideways in the field or you got to go out to an emergency. It is well worth it. And the other part too is now we've got two eyes looking at it, or two sets of eyes looking at it, where our PM and estimator he'll put everything together, say he was a little burnt out the last evening that he was putting it together, and we review in the morning. Well, he's fresh again in the morning. I'm fresh, first time looking at it, and you're looking with a different set of eyes and be like, hey, did we think about this? We just did one right before this, and I caught something that I didn't get a chance to tell him about. It was the lot we were doing the work in for a little subdivision. I went out and visited it, and he didn't, and it was heavily treed. And I'm like, oh shit, you know what we forgot? We don't have a clearing grub in here for all these trees we got to clear out of here. I'm like, oh, yep. So having that extra set on there is been huge too for making sure we're covering everything.
Yeah. And I see there's companies out there now. Oh, 100%. I see there's even companies or even freelance guys out there that can offer that as like a fractional service. So like if you're not at a point in your business that you need it for every job, or let's say you do a lot of the same work and as the owner, it's rinse, repeat. But if you start getting into newer projects outside your general scope or a little bit larger, it may be a good investment to run them through those guys just for that second set of eyes, just more for confidence than anything.
Yeah. And there's so many freelance third-party professional services that surround excavation now, where that's, if you're at a point of that growth where it doesn't make sense to put somebody on a full-time salary, get all these guys. They can whip a bid together for you for $1,000. I don't know what it costs. We'll say $1,000, and you got to do 12 good size ones you're not going to have time for over the course of the year. Well, cool. You spent $12,000 on these bids that are going to profit you much more than that. So many third-party services, which I think is a great option if you're just chasing a couple of those bigger jobs, but you can handle the project management of it because you're planning on being on site the whole time. Utilize that. Absolutely.
Yep. Talking to business owners like Matt, it's just inspiring. This guy's figured out how to not have to be present on every job site, still run a great business, develop and nurture a wonderful team, and travel all at the same time. It sounds amazing, but if with a little bit of hard work, everyone can do it too. I kind of outlined the steps on exactly how you can do that in your own business with my new book. It's called Out of the Weeds. You can find it on Amazon today, both digital and print copies. You can search for Out of the Weeds or Ryan Deemer, and it'll pop right up. Or if you want to do it quickly, just click the link in the show notes. It's a great guide, easy read, a lot of knowledge, how to help implement some of those steps and the 6 steps that I think you need to do in a specific order to grow your business. So please head over to Amazon, get the book. And if you do, and you enjoy listening to this podcast, I'm just going to ask you one quick favor. Leave it a review. Guys, I need to get some reviews so that Amazon starts showing this to other business owners. So I'm asking you for a favor on this episode of the podcast. So thanks for listening so far, and enjoy the rest of the episode.
No, I think the basis of it too, I'll add one more tidbit to it, is we are currently living in such a influencer heavy, wake up at 3, grind till midnight, hit the gym, read 10 books, like this just shit that I look at and I'm like, that's great. I'm all for betterment. I'm hitting the gym and I'm doing things to try to better myself all the time. But after 6 years of just running ragged throughout the business, it was 2 winters ago. And I just kind of throughout the winter, I'm like, what the hell do I have to do to not run this ragged? I'm like, I can't do it anymore. Like I can, but I refuse to do it like this anymore, where the help I had, the previous help I had in some of those positions just didn't have the trust in them that it was getting done right. So it was kind of one of those like, well, I got to do it myself anyways. And the stuff in the field too, I was like, I know it's hard to find those people right now. Can definitely attest to that. It took 8 years to get this crew of people I have now that I trust everybody entirely, and they're all killing it at their job. But the grind mentality, like it's all cool and you got to do it for a little while, but putting your whole life through that's not what we're here for.
No,
we're here for a lot more than that.
Yeah. And that's actually kind of where I was going to take it, is like, I was thinking through, I'm like, one of the big things that we kept seeing, I kept reading about with you, is that, learning to trust and learning to delegate.
Yep.
Because I think a lot of guys, like, they struggle with the trust and they're afraid to delegate.
Yep. And that was my storybook for a long time, because when you start and it's your baby, and, you get the comments in the first few years of, like, well, the job goes a lot better when you're on site. That shit gets in your head and you're like, well, I have to be there then. I have to make sure these guys are following my every instruction. And that takes time too, to be able to let go of that. And you really got to have the people that maybe you go check on them every couple hours throughout the day and make sure you're talking with the superintendent every time. But I think over time too, some of these, I think when you're early on and people know that you're new, the general contractors or the owners they'll really pound you on that big time. And then over time, it's like, you got to just look on and be like, hey, is the owner of your electrical sub here all day long? No, he's out running a business. Like, if there's a problem, we will fix it, but we are all human too. So let's just cool it a little bit on that.
Yeah.
Like I can't have my crew grow if I'm breathing over their shoulder 24/7. Doesn't work like that.
I mean, my take on this, I'd love to hear what you say about it, but if you don't have a strong background in commercial and already have some contacts from working somewhere else before you start your business, I'm like, do not start day one doing commercial work, because those GCs they'll smell it and they will take advantage of you.
Oh yeah, they'll eat it up. I think there's a couple GCs that we haven't, well, one GC in particular we haven't done any work for a couple years, and I think it's because early on something would come up that was clearly extra work. I was haphazard to say anything or just be like, no, we'll take care of it. And they obviously love that shit because it's going to build their profit margin. And I've noticed when you start pushing back a little bit on legitimate stuff and getting argumentative, and not argumentative to be an asshole, argumentative because like, hey, no, that's not right. That's not how this works. I'm not taking this back charge or whatever it is. They get a little unsettled by that, and then they'll just move on to the next guy, which is unfortunate because it's another proof of the, what's the word? Lack of loyalty with a lot of GC to sub relationships, where the next guy comes in $1 cheaper. Well, sorry, thanks for the work. And they'll move on. Or you have one of those conversations like, hey dude, no, like this was not on the plans and you're asking me to do this. Like, it's going to be $5,000 to take care of this. And they want to push back on it because they didn't catch it either, or whatever it is. It's the unfortunate part with the loyalty side. We've had a few contractors we've done a piss load of work for. And then so largely in the residential space. We did a lot of spec homes for a couple different companies, and the next year somebody's a little cheaper and they're an owner operator, so they're on site all 24/7 and they go that route. And it's like, well, okay, but they're not getting it done as quick either.
Yeah.
So,
and I find excavation to be a tough industry because on certain projects like residential, new home construction, all that, it is kind of like a commodity, right? Like the foundation needs to be dug, the rough grading needs to be done, the trench needs to go in for. But there are 25 companies that can do that. So that's where they know that they can leverage that to be like, well, who can give me the best price? Who's willing to take the least amount of margin for themselves and let me have the most, you know?
Yep. 100%. I think the residential too, if I can add to that, there's now being in the commercial space with, you know, the things that are looked at, the things that need to be done with soil sampling, soils testing, compaction, how tight grade needs to be for parking lots and for curb and sidewalk, like all these things. I mean, I watch it happen in our own neighborhood all the time. Some guy will go dig the foundation. When they backfill, they just get a skid steer. They shove the dirt in the hole at the top of the wall and it's going to settle in. But nobody cares because they're cheaper. Like when we go do that, we've got roller buckets on the excavators. We've got trench rollers. We've got rollers for pinching in the driveway. Like we've got a water truck out there soaking everything to make sure that things don't settle in. But that costs money. And a lot of builders just don't care. They want the one-man band that's going to shove it in, grade it in pretty. And when it settles in a foot over the next year, that house is already done and sold and it's not their problem.
Yep. So they can pay the landscape company to come make it look pretty and fix it.
Yep, exactly. So it's like, yeah, I mean, we could be cheaper too, if that's how you want us to do it, but that's not really morally how I want to do things.
And then it sets a lower standard for you and your team, which then erodes into your commercial projects. And it's just it's a cascading effect.
It really is. And that's, if you want to just stick in residential and do that kind of half-ass stuff, then so be it. But you want to step in the commercial world and try to do stuff like that. And you got street settling in when you did taps and you got concrete pulling away from the building because you didn't compact your backfill. It's going to sink you
quickly.
Not worth being quick up front because you will pay for that tenfold later on.
Absolutely. Right. So whether it be today or I'm assuming it's gonna be more in the past because the way your team's clicking and operating now, but what was your holdup on delegating to other guys in the crew?
I'd say trust and relationships with contractors or landowners, just because of some of those comments like, hey, everything goes better if you're here. And just really trying to avoid any heartache with anything. Cause I was so concerned about like, well, what if this is our last job? What if we can't get another one? We need to make sure this is all perfect. And which, I mean, nothing's ever really perfect, but you want to do your best to get as close to that as possible. So it was just struggling with that and struggling with throughout the years, some individuals I learned quick that now you get it when people apply like, oh, I'm an operator. I've been running equipment for 15 years. And then you watch them run and realize that they don't even know how to use a grade rod and they don't know anything about compaction or how to set up and put in storm main or sewer main. And it's like, okay, yeah, there's a big difference between somebody that claims to be an operator and somebody that actually knows this trade. And I think earlier on hiring, I was like, oh, sweet, this guy's been running an excavator for 7 years. I'll be able to put him on the job, give him the plans, get him lined out, and he'll be good. And then you show up midday and you're like, what is going on out here? So it was that learning curve of recognizing quick if they actually have experience or not. And now it's pretty clear within about a week.
Well, and whether it's conversations I have, things you see on Facebook, other business owners I've talked to, like the common trait I find is that whoever speaks the loudest about being a great and tenured operator usually has the least amount of experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, and another factor for us too is, we're not out where we're out moving 100,000 yards of dirt, where you got guys in scrapers, you got a push dozer, you got somebody out on the other end putting it down, big roller. Like that is when you've got somebody in the seat of the same machine doing the exact same thing every single day, where all you're doing is just bulking out dirt and loading trucks. Like, yeah, you can be a damn good excavator operator and you need to run quick cycle times loading trucks. But you go from something like that into our world or any other company's world that does mid-sized commercial work, every day is completely different. You're clearing and grubbing, stripping topsoil, then you're getting subgrade, then you're digging a foundation, then you're putting in pipe, then you're putting in water pipe, then you're doing taps. Like, it's all different. And you have to have such a higher level of broad knowledge than just how quick can I cycle and load a truck, that it weans it out, where I'm like, I don't really care that you were in a mine for 10 years running a D10. Like, it's not even applicable. It's not even in the same realm of what we're doing at this point.
Right.
It's very, very interesting, because we'll get the guys from Texas or whatever all the time that have been running in big mines or been out doing mass earth for Kiewit and everything. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's awesome that you're out doing that. And that's badass work. And I love that you're getting paid $50 an hour, but our market doesn't support that here with our labor rates. And I've had those guys and put them in our world. And within about a day, I'm like, this guy doesn't know how to run efficiently with this.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's a whole different world.
Well, that kind of leads me into where I'm going next, because you hired differently back in the past. And I think you talked about it earlier, just like hiring the wrong people and then your big heart not letting them go. How do you look at training and performance today versus the way you did 3-4 years ago?
Yeah. 3-4 years ago, I was happy to have somebody that could operate an excavator and dig a foundation, and now I just have to look at so many other factors with that delegation piece in mind, and not even as much for me, but more so for my foreman and PM, where like, I can't have my foreman camp out on the same job every single day because people can't read the plans and can't set up and shoot off a benchmark for their pipe or for their foundation. So it's honing in those guys. It's like the type of guys that have every capability to be a foreman. They just don't want that level of responsibility and paperwork. Like, they want to be in a machine. They don't want to be in a pickup running around to job sites and putting out fires. And we've found those guys where it's like, you hand them a set of plans and they're like, cool, got it. We just did a little subdivision here over the last couple of weeks. And I mean, very, very, very minimal management on that thing. We just gave them the plans, made sure the GPS was all tied in. Dude's an absolute wizard with GPS and a wizard on a dozer. And that subdivision has cleaned up. We actually just got a nice email from the engineer yesterday talking about how efficiently and how clean a work that we did out there. It's like,
it feels good, doesn't it?
Oh, it feels great. Those
it's
are
almost
the type
better
of
than
emails I want to frame on a wall.
I was like, yeah, it's almost better than getting the paycheck. I'm like, well, it's not, but it's probably a close second.
It's pretty equal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's just, really just asking those questions. And if it's somebody that's worked on the same type of jobs we do, like if you've done the mid-size commercial work for new buildings and stuff where you have about every aspect of dirt work there is on that. There's big things you're missing, but you've got clearing, tearing out trees. You've got topsoil stripping. You've got cut, fill, import, export, however you want to do it, call it embankment, whatever it is. You've got foundation X. A lot of the time we have over X for our foundation and bring it up structural under the footings. You've got water main, sewer main, storm main, water service, sewer service, rain leaders, power service. You've got concrete prep. You've got asphalt prep, curb prep, respread and topsoil. Like, it covers so many things. So if somebody's coming from a background of that where they've done small to mid-sized commercial, it's like, okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Every day is different. And leading into guys too on tell everybody, well, I don't as much, but now the other guys do now, is there's not many 2 days that are the same in a row. Like, you might get 3-4 days where we're putting in sewer main and then you're off to something else. You might get a couple days of digging a foundation, then you're off prepping concrete or whatever. Like, it's very, very variable. So the people we bring on need to enjoy that flexibility and something different every day that gets them ticking. Because if you were out just digging mainline for water for the last 6 months and you're fine with the redundancy every day, this probably isn't going to be a good fit for you. And we're happy to tell them that.
And that's the underlying lesson that I'm hearing for other business owners out there. It's okay to be confident in who you are and what you do and what you need, and verbalize that to people.
Yeah. And just let them know too. If if you're seeing the writing on the wall that it may not be a good fit, I mean, the interview process before you get them hired on is the best time to be like, hey, because we've appreciated honesty from people we've interviewed too, that, you know, their resume said they'd done pipe work and then do all this, and you get to talking to them about it. They're like, honestly, I kind of hate doing pipe work. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's going to be part of it because we don't have enough work that is, excuse me, that is just out in the dozer to keep you busy full time. Like, you have to be doing this type of work. So if you don't like that work, or you're going to have a bad attitude about doing it, this probably isn't a good fit for you. It's not a good fit for us. So,
no, yeah, I love that.
I
think. Go ahead.
I was going to say you want it to be a good fit for the people that are here. Like, I don't want anybody that's working here to be miserable every day. Like, that, one, that's no way for them to live. Two, it creates a cancer within the organization that spreads to everybody else. Like, if you enjoy this work and you want to be here and be excited about it, hell yeah, let's do this. If not, if you're just looking for a paycheck and you're going to be miserable every day, I'd rather run leaner and find somebody else.
Yeah. No, 100%. You know, it's like owning a business with a partner and all that. It's if you can build an operating agreement and a partnership agreement before you have any troubles with the business, and you can use that kind of, hey, you said you're going to be in charge of this. This is your area, or I'm not doing that. It just keeps the emotions out of it. And I feel like interviews should kind of have that same process, right? Like,
I agree.
Don't make it a first date, because what do you learn on a first date? Nothing. Like,
not much.
Yeah. You're just like, hey, she's hot. I want to go out and see if I can do something, you know. But so if you make that interview process where it's just more transparent, more expectations, and then listen. I'm a big fan, Matt. Like, you have to listen to their answers, not the words they say, but you got to read between those lines. Are they just telling you what you want to hear? Is there discrepancies from different stories? And then I love asking a lot of personal questions too.
Yep. Yeah. I'm more so, and I've told my guys that hire this before. I'm like, I am kind of at a point, well, I'll regress a little bit on that, but kind of at a point where I care less about your experience and more about your personality and your willingness to learn. Because I've had some people in the past that were some of the best operators, most knowledgeable, skilled with everything from machine work to pipe to whatever, but their attitudes were just awful. The personality was awful, and they'd be the ones to just come to work, start bitching about stuff, and then all of a sudden everybody's in a terrible mood, everybody's drugged down, and that's just I'd rather have the first day kid that's like, hell yeah, what do I do next? That's going to pay way more dividends in the long term.
Absolutely. And what you're doing, and I'm sure you know this, I'm just going to verbalize it for everyone listening. Like, you've redesigned the way you hire and what's important in your interview process to protect your culture.
Yes, 100%. Because the cancer is, I know people say it all the time, but it is 100% the truth. That cancer will absolutely rattle the entire business big time.
It's funny because if you have one great employee and 9 bad ones, that one employee can't raise up the 9 bad ones. But if you have one negative employee, he sure the hell can sink 9 good ones.
Yep. That is the honest to God truth. And it's, as the years go by, and I've heard people say that, and I'm like, no, it can't be that bad. And then you're in that experience. You're like, you're getting the calls from other guys throughout the day. Like, hey, this guy just stormed off the job, or, hey, he said he didn't want to listen to me, or he doesn't want to do it this way. It's like, then it's pulling away from your day and the big picture of the business too, to go facilitate to some small bullshit drama too. That's what nobody has time for.
Always the little shit too.
Yep. It's incredible how I feel like as males, we always want to talk about how dramatic females are. Man, guys in the construction world are probably the most dramatic people that have ever walked this earth.
That and manufacturing.
Yep.
So we, when I ran a manufacturing company, we made skid steer attachments, and we had a lot of welders. And one of the guys came in, and he's just like, "Well, is this like a regular weld shop?" I'm like, he was interviewing me really during our interview. I'm like, "What do you mean by that?" And he goes, "If there's a ton of drama and everyone's always like in other people's shit," he's like, I don't. I'm at a point in my life I don't want that anymore. And I'm like, he's like, "I've seen enough soap operas. We call it as the wire burns instead of as the world turns." And I was like, you're hired, dude. I like you.
Yeah. It goes with what I was saying. I mean, personality wise, like just come and say what your expectations are too. And then it gives a good gauge for as people are there too, that like, hey, remember when we hired you, we told you this is kind of how shit rolls. And now your attitude's flipping. And if it's going to stay flipped, then you can see your way down the road.
Mm-hmm. Do your guys, whether it be the field crew, the foreman, whatever, do they have, like, whether it be written, verbal, do they have leniency to a certain level to make decisions up to a certain point? Like, I've been with you for 6 months and I've been proving myself as an excavator operator, and I'm like, hey, this didn't seem to line up right with the print, so I did this instead. Or do they have to actually get from the foreman?
It's a little bit of both, honestly. We had a case today actually with some RCP pipe going into the entrance of a subdivision that the ditch is super shallow. He called and he's like, hey, there's only going to be like 3 inches of cover over this with gravel. And I had him pull up the prints and read me off the elevations. I mean, I'm like, that checks out with 18-inch RCP. I'm like, I'll call the engineer, but I have a feeling it's going to kind of be what it is out there. Talked with the engineer. He's like, yeah, if it was a DEQ deal, it's going to be minimal. So I went out to site and looked at it with him. I ended up making the field call on that to drop the inverts of the pipe, take the 0.15 slope out of it, just throw it in flat. But I told those guys, I'm like, these are the calls, please make, because if something's, I'm like, I said pretty much verbatim, I'm like, there's a gray area between put it into design but on the other side of that, if we put it into design, we know we're going to have issues with it later. So let's come up with a solution and get it cleared. So I was like, these are the calls, make these anytime for sure.
Yep.
But other things, I mean, these guys have enough experience with stuff where I think that's the argument with GPS that we can dive into too. But the guys that have experience with this, they can look at something and be like, hey, the way this is designed, it's not going to flow right to the curb. We got to change something. Like, yeah, if they want to make that change, absolutely. And they explain that to me. I'm like, good call. Yeah, do that every time. That's exactly what I would have told you to do too. And I think they've had me out on site enough too that they're getting a pretty good idea of what I'd say in a situation too, which is nice, because a lot of times they'll make that call and be like, yep, that's the right call. Carry on. So it's, yeah. To answer your question, if they need to make those small field adjustments or whatever, I'm perfectly good with that. I just remind them that there's some things, whether if it's coming from a design with engineered plans, like run it by me, just because there might be something else, or if you've got a change in means and methods or something, like there are things that I want done in a certain sequential order for a reason, and it's usually because it bit me in the ass previously. So ask those questions.
Very good, man. Well, you've brought it up twice now, so let's just jump right into it. GPS. What were you thinking?
GPS, what most people love and what at the same time most people hate. I find the conversation about GPS very, very interesting, because it seems like the outside perspective looking in, if you don't have it, is that it's basically cheating, and that people don't know how to run machines if they're using it, and it could not be further from the truth. I'll say the first time I got into a GPS machine, that's where my head was at. I was like, fuck, all I got to do is just hit a button and it's going to grade everything out. Well, when you got a 2-foot cut with a dozer, that doesn't work. It's just going to dive the blade and you're just going to sit there. It's like, you still have to have the ability to freehand with the excavator, with the dozer. It's when you get in within 1/10 and a half, 2/10, that's where it really takes over. And really one of my favorite parts about it is just having the mapping in the screen, so you can see where you're at on the job site and understand why the grades are changing as you go and you're cutting around curb islands and everything. But I mean, it's such a huge tool for efficiency. I just had some of our Trimble reps out at our site the other day, and we were talking about it when we were cutting in the subdivision road. And I'm like, man, it would have taken us probably, even with skilled guys that are quick on the lasers, quick on the grade rod, linker rod, whatever it may be, even with that, this would have taken probably at least 5 times as long.
Right.
To be out pulling off 25-foot offset stakes for ditch lines, for bottom of ditch, for center line of road, for electrical utilities, all this. And there's not a stake anywhere out here, and everything's 2 grade right where it needs to be. and happened in about the course of a week for the whole project.
That's awesome. Do you have a rover too that you can manually go out and do work with?
Yeah, we've got two sets of basin rovers, and then we've got machine control, 2 sets of machine control that can go on our 325 excavator, our D6N, our D6K, and then our skid steer with a grade blade. And we'll probably add it to more machines over time because it's.
So this is always my favorite question to ask guys with GPS. If you could only have the basin rover or only have the machine control, which one would you choose?
Ooh. After having it on dozers, that's tough. Because on the dozer, it is beautiful. If it was basin rover or on an excavator, I'd say basin rover all day. Because a lot of the time we just kind of use it as a guide for line work in the excavator. We really don't use the autos that much because you got to pull so slow to get it smooth. The dozers are freaking great though.
Yeah.
Especially in our world, since we've got so many grade breaks and parking lots and everything. But if you were just doing roads, I'd say basin rover, but it's pretty equal, really. I think you got to have both.
I'm with you, and I've never been around it on a dozer. I mean, I shouldn't say I've been around it, but I haven't been in it working or on job sites with it. But like I was blown away. I don't know how many years ago, and I was like, man, this shit on an excavator's mind blowing. Like infinite lines and the slopes, and if the machine's ready, it does do it, but it is. A lot of guys hate it because it's so slow. They just give me the lines, the buzzers, and I'll do it myself.
Yep.
But I got introduced to like what those rovers can do, and then the overlaying on Google Maps and like and I was like, holy shit, this is the ticket right here.
It is.
And they're substantially less expensive than machine control. So when guys talk to me and say, oh, I want to get into GPS, I'm like, just start with a rover.
Yeah, I think start with it for sure. We had just the basin rover for 3 years, I think, before we put any machine control on. And it was even just at that was such a huge time savings to be able to go out, paint out your lines for your water main or your sewer main or whatever, your center and manhole. And I mean, at that too, the beauty of the machine control is then you can pull that one person off the ground that's checking with the rover, basically using it as a walking grade rod. That's the beauty there. But having that ability when you're doing subgrade and walk around, be like, hey, you're a couple tenths high, they can trim it, and it's working together there versus in the machine, you can do it all. But I usually encourage my foreman all the time when he gets out to a site, like, hey, grab the rover, go walk around and just go make sure we've got this pad overbuilt enough. So we got a couple foot shoulder for the road, or we've got enough extra. We're overdug around the foundation enough. Cause like, it's great from the machine, but you got to get out and use your legs too. So, but I would 100% agree with you. If you're going to do GPS, start with a basin rover and watch the world start changing.
Instantly.
I demoed it for about 2 days on a big project in 2021. Had them come out and was demoing a dozer with machine control, but the basin rover was my primary function just because there was so much shit going on that job with the buildings and utilities. And after about 2 days, I was like, yeah, send me a contract for one of these. I got to have this. It doesn't take long.
No, it doesn't at all.
And it's another one of those, like our conversation earlier about that bottleneck, and you don't want to spend the money on it. I think that's where a lot of guys are at. But like, yeah, it's $50,000 for a basin rover. But you stretch the payments out over 6 years, or you do get into a T-Pass lease system where they send you new gear as it comes out. Like it kind of just becomes one of your overhead expenses at that point.
And I'm telling you what, and if you're, Trimble, whatever you are, that's great. It's worth the money because the relationship, you got access to the guys that are there. But there's these newer companies coming out, and I've talked about it a couple times in the podcast, but like CHC Nav, they're the third largest GNSS provider in the world. So while they're new to America, they are not new to this industry, right?
Yep.
They're putting the antennas into the rover, so you don't even need a base. It can actually turn into a mini base in bad cell service areas.
Yep.
And you can pick up one of those for like 10 to 15 grand, depending on what they have two different models. So even if it's a starting point, like, oh, I'm going to buy the $10,000 one. People, that's a lot of money. I'm like, it is. But if you don't like that one and you want to go full base rover, full whatever, you can still sell that damn thing for $7 or $8 grand. And I guarantee you it saves you $2,000 in work.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there's MLAD, Imlad. It's like a Hungarian company too that does the same type of thing, where the downfall would be they don't transition into machine control that I'm aware of. At least a couple years ago they didn't. You're primarily just base and rover, but just having that tool too, if you want to get your feet wet in it and you don't know if you want to go machine control, like, yeah, you might lose a little bit of money selling it, but give it a try. I've thought about doing one of those systems just for like a spare base and rover, just to set up and walk sites and check stuff out.
Go check out CHC Nav Benchmark. They've got their own networks for it, cellular network. They partner with a company that actually it's building an autonomous vehicle network. So it's nationwide. If you don't have any cell service somewhere and you let them know, they typically have some sort of a station up and running within 2 weeks to a month. Because it's not about fixing your problem. It's like, oh, we found a gap in the mesh that we're trying to build across the United States for autonomous vehicles.
Yeah, and they want that feedback. Yeah,
so you don't have to get the DOT networks or none of that shit. And
it's going to be interesting to see how much further this all comes in like the next 5 years. And I mean, here in the Flathead Valley, we're kind of behind the curve with all that. I mean, there's a few companies that run GPS pretty heavy, but there's a lot that don't even think about touching it.
Yeah.
And everywhere else you go, I mean, everybody's fully equipped. Every machine, every site's got base and rover and machine control on everything. And it's kind of wild. It's expensive, but it's.
Yeah. I mean, there was an owner in California, God, I cannot remember his name, but he was saying, I don't know how many excavators and dozers he owned, and it was not a small number. It was 15, 20 excavators, 5-8 dozers, like bigger size company. And every piece of machinery from the skid steer up had GPS in it. Yep. And he was like, I don't know how many millions I've spent on it for all the equipment, but I'd need twice as much equipment and twice as much staff if I was doing it the traditional way.
Yep. 100%. I think that's something we're all just going to have to face in this industry, because we know there's not as many people coming up that are interested in getting into it. So we got to come up with a solution. And I think GPS is a big solution on it, especially with that too. The whole landscape of bidding right now, with how cutthroat it is. I know in this area it is, and guys I've talked to kind of across the country seeing the same thing with where our rates are way cheaper than painters, plumbers, electricians, framers, everything as far as an hourly labor rate. And I mean, it's part of the way to get more competitive, as much as I think it's bullshit that we're the ones out here doing work that could kill you every day and charging way less for it. But that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, I think it's just such a good tool.
And listen, I don't care what trade you're in. Yes, there is a skill and there is a technique to it. And 100%, the more you do something, the way better you are at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're paying a guy, $28, $30 an hour because he's freaking damn good with a paintbrush.
Yeah.
Not saying he's not worth that money, but if this guy sucks in the excavator, he could swing, kill 3 guys, jump the machine, knock it into a building, and that has to be demoed and all that. I mean, there's millions and millions of dollars at risk.
And it's all happened. I've had guys hit buildings. I've had guys hit gas lines. I've hit gas lines. Like there's a lot of shit that can happen. The high level of risk that goes into the high level of risk and the high level of capital investment in excavation, logging, farming, mining. Like it is, some of these other businesses can't even begin to fathom how much money gets pumped into this stuff. It's like you bought a van and you put a paint sprayer in it, but you bill out labor at 120 an hour and we bill it out at 75. And nobody squawks at that, but they'll squawk about me wanting, we're at $200 an hour for a skilled operator inside of a machine that costs $250,000.
Right.
Tell me how that pencils. And you got plumbers in a van at $350. Sure, there's the certifications, and I think that's where I'll keep the MEP out of it because they got their certifications and state licenses and stuff. But there's a lot of trades out there where I'm like, wait, how much are you charging to clean a house? $100 an hour? And you got some cleaning supplies? Like, we just pulled into your driveway to grade your driveway with $200,000 between pickup trailer and skid steer and attachments.
And that was a small setup.
And that's our small setup. Exactly.
Yeah.
So and I've talked to so many people about this too. I made a post on Instagram probably 6 months ago that just exploded about it, just about why we're all cutting our own throats with this when we have all of these risks and this high level of exposure on everything. And it got a lot of attention, and pretty much everybody agrees. But for some reason, we're still out here, and the bids we put in, we're getting cut by 40%. And I'm like, calling the general contractors, I'm like, you understand it can't be done for that price, right? Well, I know they're hungry. It's like, are they hungry enough to lose $250,000? Because I'll never be that hungry. I'll pay guys full time to sit at home before I go voluntarily lose that kind of money.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
So your project is successful.
Yeah, exactly. So your project can go.
Yeah.
Yep. No thanks.
Yeah. Let me keep funding it. Like that was the biggest, and that was another thing too. Like I don't want to make it sound so negative if like you're trying to grow your business, but as you probably know, Matt, right? You're a damn bank for these GCs too.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yep. Yeah, we're out paying interest on our accounts that are over 30 days while the GC, well, typically the owner has shoved the money into a CD and they're making 5%. Oh yeah. You know, it's such a line of shit too. Cause like my wife and I GC'd our own house, and do you know how long it takes to get a draw when I send them in an invoice? Usually the same day the money's sitting at title. So tell me why on a project I get this shit like, oh, well, we have to allocate the funds and everything. It's like, no, that's not how this works. The funds were allocated before the project started. Don't tell me that It takes that I send it to the GC on the 25th. They have until the 20th to approve it of the following month. And then the owner has another 30 days to sign off and issue funds. Like, it's just a load of shit. Like it doesn't take that. And if it does take that, you need to find a new bank.
100%.
That's obscene.
And I don't think you'll ever find a good contractor that doesn't hate the process. Mm-hmm. But like, it's the rules of the game. And if this is what we're going to play, we just have to understand that. Right.
Yep. And
until a day something changes. But again, I think it's a big lesson for those younger guys that are trying to grow their business. Like if you jump into commercial too early and you don't have the cash reserve.
Yep. Even
if you do great work and things don't go wrong on the project, you could still get sunk just because of payment terms.
100%. Yeah, it's a whole different world. And I'll say we've had a lot of really good contractors with pay that you throw in on the 25th and by the 15th, you've got your money, which to a residential guy probably seems like a long time. But for me, I'm like, yeah, that's great. Check's on the way already. Shit, this was quick. Yeah. But we've had the other ones that have been throw an invoice in November and you don't see it till March type of deal. It's like, then you've got $100,000 of paving you got to pay for and $50,000 worth of site concrete that isn't even money going into your business. You're just passing it through. So yeah, the starting with residential, usually the residential is pretty quick. They're on pretty quick draws. You know, we had a residential company we worked for that anything that was done by that Tuesday, you had a direct deposit on Friday. And I was like, this is beautiful. That's great. That's great for cash flow. But you get in the commercial world and some guys are good about it. There's a couple local companies that like they have the subcontractor basis. They're great guys, but largely because of how they pay, where if you submit on the 25th, you have a direct deposit no later than the 10th every time. Like there was one time it slipped to the 11th because something didn't process right. And it's like, that's how you keep good subcontractors around too, is they got to get paid. They got to pay their suppliers. They got to take care of their people. They got to take care of their equipment. They got to take care of whatever it is, their vans, their pickups. And when you're waiting 90, 100 days, it gets a little painful sometimes.
Yeah. And I'm going to take a shot in the dark here, Matt, because I just feel like I know you a little bit here after talking for a while. But if you had two opportunities to bid two different projects and they were both going to be for the same quarter, so you could only end up actually doing one of them because they were too big to do both, you would probably give up a point or two in profit to work with the GC that you know in and out that takes care of payments on time and all that versus the unknown GC on the other side.
100%. Very fair. Yep. And I think that's the like we were talking earlier, the stronghold that some GCs try to take when they see the newer guy type of stuff. They treat, unless they've worked with them a lot, with that subcontractor a lot, where they get to the point where like, yeah, they're more, but we know what we're getting. There's always kind of that stronghold position where it's like, it's our way. We're only doing it our way. It's like, well, yeah, we're a business too. and we've got ways we like to do it. Don't get me wrong. There's some obscene things that subcontractors ask for just from being on the GC side for many years, where, you have a sheetrocker come in and sheetrock the house, and before they leave, they're like, well, where's my check? And it's like, not exactly how it works. Like, you're going to get paid quick, but I put draws in at the end of the month and I'll have something to you by the 5th, but I'm not going to cut you a check today. Like, there's a happy medium in there for sure.
Right.
I got to get paid from the bank. It's going to be quick, and then I can issue your payment. But on the flip side of that, this 90-day stuff is just insane.
It's terrible.
But I don't know, over the years too, it's, I'm going to say, challenge the owners and the GCs, not in a negative asshole way, but like, hey, if you get a contract, another piece of the third party that I would recommend, I probably should have done it earlier. Yeah. I got lucky and I didn't really have anything come up that really needed it, but have a good lawyer on standby. And that's not even necessarily for when shit goes sideways out on a job with an owner or with a GC. That's for contract review your proposals, see how you're putting your exclusions, inclusions in there. Because just really recently, we were in a little bit of a shit fit with a project from last year, and got in contact with a local lawyer. And one of the first things I said to him after I told him what was going on, I'm like, can I kind of keep you on retainer so when I get subcontracts sent to me, I can email them to you and you can redline them? And I had him do a couple and read them through. If you really read those contracts and some of the things that they have in there, you're like, oh my God. Gross. Disgusting. I mean, one of them just got redlined to hell. But then you kick it back to the GC and you have your different wording and they're like, yeah, I mean, 95% of this, we can make these changes. And, this one we're very firm on. We're going to have to keep this. Like, okay, well, that's negotiation right there. So that's what I mean by kind of challenging them. Just be like, hey, we're a business too. We got to protect ourselves as well. We understand you're the prime on the contract, but like some of this stuff in here is pretty egregious, guys. And I know that's
just their attorney being over the top to protect their client.
Yeah, because that's what attorneys got to do. They're going to protect their client. But if those two attorneys can, there's a little bit of eye to eye in that too, where it's like, yeah, you're right. This is, and I think contractors can respect that too, from a business owner to business owner perspective of like, hey, this guy's trying to protect himself too. Like, we get 1 out of 50 that actually read the contract and go through this process of redlining. And the few times I've done it, the PM I was working with on other projects and stuff, they're like, yeah, we talked with ownership and we're good with 90% of this. We do have to keep this blurb in here and whatever. Okay, great. Let's make those changes and let's get it signed and let's move on.
Let's get it done. Perfect.
Yep. Which is something typically is learn the hard way. I think for most, it's one of those but after you know it, it's like, yeah, I better keep somebody like that in my corner for sure.
Absolutely.
Good insurance guy too.
And I tell guys all the time, like, when you look at accountants or even a bookkeeper, right? You don't even have to have the CPA title. Mm-hmm. An attorney, or even if a paralegal, if your buddy's wife's a paralegal and it's somebody more knowledgeable than you in the law, look at all those people as if they were part of your team. Like, you're actually hiring them, even though you're not going to pay them like a W-2 and run them through payroll every 2 weeks or whatever, every week. You still should kind of like interview them to make sure they're a culturally good fit with you and your company.
I think that's why I'm so big on personalities too, because the people I surround myself with, our insurance company, I've had multiple people be like, hey, I think you're paying too much. You should shop these guys. I'm like, not interested, because these guys will take care of me no matter what I need. They go to bat, they hunt for lower rates. They beat up the other insurance companies. Like, I don't care if I'm paying 10% more a year. I really don't give a shit, because the relationship is so good. That's insurance. 100%. That's the legal team that we use. That's our suppliers. It's everybody. Like between Western States CAT, because we run all CAT equipment, they've been incredible to us over the course of the last 7 years. Our pipe supplier, Core and Main, we have people hitting us up all the time, sending us quotes, and you open up the quotes and you compare them side by side. It's like, yeah, you're cheaper, but you're missing 10 meter pits. So I'm not going to commit to putting this in my bid and then be backwards 30 grand when we get the job. Like, I know that these guys are thorough. They're taking care of it. And again, even if they are 5% higher, apples to apples, I don't care. Do not care. Because when I need a last minute delivery, or actually it's called a scheduled delivery, where we need submittals, we're going to get them, and it's going to make the back end that much easier. And that would be my biggest piece of advice, I'd say, overall, for the surrounding, for not only your in-house employees, but all the people you work with. Cause it's not just you out here. You need your trucking companies, you need your gravel pits, you need your pipe suppliers, your precast suppliers. The list goes on. There's 30 people I could rattle off. Like, make sure they're good sound people that, like, I kind of treat it as like, would I go get a beer with this guy? And if the answer is yes, and it's like, yep, I'm probably going to work with these guys.
Yep. Nope, that's great. But a lot of guys don't look at that as team building. They look at it as just vendors or contractors or no. They're all part of your team. Yeah.
And I hear the horror stories from these guys too, that we surround ourselves with how some of these other companies act. And it's like, man, you're not going to be around for very long if you do that. Like, if you're upset that your supplier didn't drop everything they were doing to run you out a roll of Christie's tape because you were unprepared, that now you're going to jump ship and go to the next pipe supplier. Like,
right.
Good luck with that outlook on things, because I can tell you right now, like, there's always going to be something with the people you surround yourself where they dropped the ball or something got missed. And it's like, hey, that's part of it, man. Like, let's just see what we can do to fix it. I'm not going to jump ship because you messed up one time.
The best relationships I've ever made with vendors, and I don't care if it was back in my bar and restaurant days or current, it isn't the guy who had the best price or the best conversation or was the most fun to drink beer with. It was the one that made a mistake and fixed it above and beyond.
Yep. 100%.
Like, I'm like, oh, we're going to do business for a long time.
Yep.
Same with you. It's like, yeah, you could get something 2% cheaper, I don't care.
Yep.
Because shit will happen. It's how do you handle it when those moments happen? And I want to surround my people with that are going to take care of that when it does. That's
goes into subcontractors too, because we sub out primarily our site concrete and our paving. We use who we use because we know when it's time for them to be scheduled that they're going to be there and they're going to take care of the work. Like, yeah, I could have went with the guy that maybe could have put a few more grand in my pocket, but I'm getting screamed at by the GC because my concrete sub's not there. My paving guy just pushed 2 weeks and they need to get it paved. Like, I'm not playing that game. And I tell people
ordered the wrong PSI spec. I mean, there's a bunch of
Yep. Like, if you guys want to pull paving or concrete out of my bid because you've got somebody you really want to use, that's great. But this is how my bid's coming in: is I'm using these guys if it's up to me.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine who actually got to the point where he went to an auction of a concrete company where the owner was retiring, bought a shit ton of forms, bought a bunch of equipment, and went up to the guy's son and was like, you want a job? You can run my concrete division. Mm-hmm. And they don't do concrete for anyone else. They only do concrete for themselves. Really? He's like, I'm so sick and tired of concrete subs.
Yeah. No, it's such a huge deal. That's why I don't understand the concept from a lot of general contractors. Is like, they really do care if they don't care if they're going to have a nightmare on the job. If somebody's 10 grand cheaper on $100,000, they're going to go that way. Even if they know that sub, they're not going to have to touch them. They're not going to have to line them out, nothing. They're just going to have to tell them a start date and it's going to be done, versus the guy they're going to just spend more money on management there with trying to make sure things are lined out, QC and everything they do. Yep. It's like, my brain doesn't operate like that. Even when it came to building our house, I could have shopped stuff around. I could have saved some money on MEP trades and painting or whatever, you name it. But there was guys that I had worked with previously where I sent it to only them. Like, hey, what's it going to cost to do this? All right, cool. Put it on your books, because I know you're going to come and I know you're going to get it done and it's going to be right. And I don't know shit about mechanical. I'm not going to be able to QC it if I hire the cheap guy, and then when I got problems a year down the road and that guy went bankrupt, what am I going to do?
Right. Yeah. No, 100%.
We just had one. I'm going to tell a quick story on that. Actually, we just bid a job here a couple weeks ago, and it was like $1.6 million job, call it 1.1 without asphalt and concrete. And the low guy on that was pulling concrete and asphalt out was still a couple $100,000 less than us. And I talked to one of the GCs that bid the job, because there was about 7 of them. And most of them I've got a relationship with. So I was just calling and be like, hey, how'd our number look? Where'd we come in at? And he's like, yeah, this company X came in here, and I just read out of my mouth. I go, are they qualified? Can they do it? And he's like, not really. And I'm like, well, we can't pull that much out of our bid. He's like, well, it wasn't my call, but I don't want to work with them. I'm like, interesting. I will say the one grievance I'll give on the GCs is they're getting pinched so damn hard from owners on budgets and stuff too, where they'll be like, all right, my budget's $2 million, and they come in at 3. It's like, you can't do it for 2. So it's kind of forcing the hand of GCs to pick subs that might not be as qualified and may not have the ability to do the job as well, just to get their foot in the door to do the job. And I think that's a problem from the very top of all of this. People thinking they're balling out. No, you just don't have the money to build the project, man. You just wasted
champagne dreams on a beer budget.
Yep. And you just wasted 200 people's time for a month putting this all together just to be like, well, I can't get the money.
Can't get the funding.
Yep. Which is why people want to charge for estimates now, including myself.
I'm a firm believer in that.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about that for probably over a year now. You're almost probably 2 years. That even residential jobs, like at a certain point, like if you're doing driveway regrading properties and all that, like you could probably ask enough questions on the phone and provide enough detail on what the price range is going to be that you don't have to do a site visit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But if you start getting into like 5-acre clearing jobs or maybe a pond project and things of that nature, I tell all the guys, I'm like, hey, give them the simple estimate with a price range, or tell them for X amount of dollars, $250. Doesn't matter what it is.
Yep.
You give them a full blown estimate, map overlays, if you get to rover, some of that stuff. And then they own it, whether they hire you or not. And if they do hire you, you take the $250 off the bid.
Yep. I think I've fumbled back and forth with this a lot because I'm like, am I just going to, as soon as I say that, am I just going to get hung up on? And part of me doesn't really care, because it's like, if you're serious about wanting to get this work done at your property, even if it is something smaller at your house, call it a $10,000 job or something, like if you legitimately are wanting to get this done and you're not just gravely curious, like just say that on the phone. Like, hey, I'm just curious. Like, I'm not going to waste your time. How much roughly do you think this would be? You're going to be between $7,500 and $10,000. These are a couple factors that could decrease it or increase it. All right, cool. Thanks for the help. I'll let you know if I'm serious. But you don't really get that from a lot of people. They want you to come out, right, put boots on the ground, spend a bunch of time on it. They want to hustle you when they're going to get your estimate, and then you send it to them and you never hear a word again. It's like a lot of people on the wanting to get the job done side want to scoff at that. It's like, well, dude, you just wasted a bunch of my time. Like, what if I called you, pulled you away from work for 2 hours so that you could come over and whatever, look at mowing my lawn, and you're missing out on opportunity costs on other things, and then you just never hear from me again.
Right.
It's kind of, I don't know. Somebody said it very good to me about a month ago that I've been using is, again, excavation's expensive, trades are expensive, construction's expensive, because people don't see all the other shit that we got to pay for in order to even be in business. And I think it's a factor of the common man. What was it? The common man sees the price through the lens of their own salary. Right. And I was like, that's a very good point. Because you go in and you're like, hey, to come in here and do the landscaping on your yard, it's going to be $25,000. They see, well, shit, that's 3 months of work or 4 months of work for me. So it's flabbergasting to them. And it's like, well, for us, I mean, there's $20,000 in cost to do this for us, and 5's left over, and we got to pay taxes on 40% of that. So there ain't really much there for this 2 weeks of work as it is. Right. So I thought that was a really interesting take. I'm like, yeah, that's a good point, actually. Till you get into like the big development and the commercial stuff where, they're making a big 100%. Investment property. But for home improvements, it's definitely a bigger pill to swallow. Yeah, and I love the aspect of having some sort of a fee for that, and because it's easy to give you a check or to process a credit card for $250, $400, depending on the size of the job. Mm-hmm. You just train them that, hey, I gave him money, he gave me something in return. Yeah. So now it's a lot easier for them to say yes to the $25,000 project with you. Because even though you haven't moved a piece of dirt, you
charged them before, and you've already provided value.
Yep.
And subconsciously, they're like, "Oh, I've already invested in him. I'm just going to take his quote. He does it right."
Well, yeah, if you're a good contractor, you're going to do just that. You're going to provide value. When I go out and do site walks with people for if they want to build a new house on a mountainside or build a road up there or get a septic installed, like they're going to know something that they didn't know prior to me being there. Whether it's the septic permit process, whether it's talking about, and I try to have these conversations, not to be arrogant at all, but just to be like, hey, I understand the differences in this on how we're going to go about doing this. Like if you're trying to build a house down low in the valley in Whitefish and it's all shitty clay material and we're trying to do this in October, hey, there's a possibility that all the material we hog out and you're doing a slab on or foundation of a slab on grade floor. There's a possibility that if this material gets saturated, we're going to have to export it. And we're going to have to import structural fill in order for your slab to not settle over time. And that's what this is going to cost if we run into this. And a lot of people just don't have those conversations. They'll go the simplest way, give them the estimate, be like, well, this guy was $5,000 cheaper. He's like, well, did he present you with these options of what could potentially happen? Because those are issues that could come up for sure. So I try to, it's kind of our job to educate people that, there's a lot of things I call on I have no knowledge about, and I appreciate that. I'd be like, okay, cool. I learned something today. Like this was valuable. Yep. And so if you're a good contractor, I feel like you are providing that value. So I like that angle of it. It's like, hey, I just gave you 10 years of experience summarized into about an hour and a half conversation on your property for $200.
Right.
That's valuable because now, even if you don't go with me, at least some keywords and some things to listen to from some other contractors to be able to put us in separate pools that, hey, this guy didn't even mention doing any compaction through my driveway.
I can't tell you how many contractors they'll tell me like, well, that will never work. My customers will not pay for an estimate. Mm-hmm. And we sit down and we frame it. I'm like, hey, you get this for free or you get this. And then I'm like, you have to tell them the value of the estimate. What's the comprehension of it? What are they getting? Not just I will give you an estimate for $250.
Yeah.
You have a full write-up report, spec report. We'll overlay it on Google Maps so you can see exactly where your pond's going to be in the trees. We'll get this, that. 9 times out of 10, they'll present it to a customer for the very first time. And the customer's like, oh, yeah, go ahead and write me up that estimate. And they always call me back like, the dude's going to pay me. And I'm like, it's about getting out of your own head. Like stop protecting other people's wallet. Protect your damn time.
Yep. I really like that angle on that because our proposals we've gotten complimented on it from some particular GCs and stuff. Like everything's very, very, very broken out. A lot of guys just lump earthwork, one lump sum, prep, one lump sum, utilities, one lump sum. And like we kind of break it out like public jobs. Like if it's water main, it's going to be 8-inch C900, 90-degree bends, 45-degree bends, 22s, hydrant assemblies, T's, like everything's broken out. Everything's got a unit. Everything's got a unit cost. Because then on the backside, if we're awarded the job and the engineer goes, hey, shit, we actually have to make this loop, we got to add 100 feet of water main. It's like, okay, cool. Well, we have an easy mechanism for our change order. We were at $75 a foot for the water main. We're adding one T and we're adding one 90-degree bend. Boom, there's a change order. Away you go. It makes it easy on the backside too.
Super simple.
People know exactly what they're getting. And if they want to say, well, they added 2 bends in these latest set of drawings, like, okay, well, we had 3 in the bid. There's now 5. So this is what we're going to get paid for these other 2. Simple.
Yeah.
And I think that's the value on the back end, where then you're not having that argument between sub and general contractor about change orders. And I never want to be the guy to go in there and purposefully cut shit out of my bid, banking on being able to get a change order later. Because that's going to be a rude awakening in the commercial world too, because they will stick that to you. It has to be pretty legit, or you have to be able to have a tactful conversation about it as well.
I just got off the phone with one of our clients with Throttled Up Marketing. And over the past 6 months, he took a brand new idea of a business. We built a website, we built a brand, we built some systems, lead follow-ups, the whole 9 yards. And what he told me the other day was that he and his 2 sons are booked out for 6 to 8 weeks. His one son was able to quit his full-time job, and the second son is right behind him. Yeah, they could have done it on their own, but he's telling me that they probably saved a year to a year and a half just by implementing some of the insights we had into the business. And because of the professional brand and the clear outline of the services they do that we provided to them with our marketing services. So if you're looking to grow a little quicker, systemize your business, get a hold of us at Throttled Up Marketing. Head over to throttledupmarketing.com, click the link in the show notes, whatever you do. We have some capability right now to bring on 3 to 5 new clients over the next few weeks, and we would love to have you become part of the Throttled Up family. With that, let's get back to the episode.
So detail.
Good stuff today, man.
Detail is good.
Very much so.
And from the bidding perspective too, that's something we've done over time is broken our items out deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper up to like if we've got 3-inch conduit and 2-inch conduit going in. Okay, let's price the trenching and backfill with the 3-inch. The 2-inch is just strictly going to be a couple guys gluing sticks together, and it just brings so much more clarity to your means and methods when you go to build something that you can really, it makes it. And then if a contractor wants you to break things out, it's easy, cool. You're just going to pull that item instead of dissecting everything. The detail has been huge for our bidding process and thinking through how we're going to actually build something.
No, I think that's amazing. I've talked about it in a couple other shows before, but like I actually developed and launched a software this year called Toolbox. The link will be in the show notes. It's not relevant for you and your commercial size project. It was made more for simpler trades, residential jobs, because I just looked at so many bids over the year and I'm like, wait, you're not bankrupt by sending bids that look like this?
Yeah.
like I know an 8-year-old with a box of crayons that could probably kick your ass as far as estimate proposals. Like they were so bad in the industry. So we actually built Toolbox where we incorporated AI so you can take raw, ugly job notes, and as long as you're specific in it and all that, it'll actually format it into a very professional, fully bullet printed step-by-step what the customer gets, why they're getting it. And, we've had guys that started using it and their close rate, like I wouldn't say it went through the roof, but it's definitely increased just because of the transparency the customer sees. Yep. So when the guy does bring over that bid that says driveway regrade $5,000 and he looks at yours and yours is 6,000, but this is exactly what we do, what you get, how it goes. They're willing to pay the extra $1,000 because there's no ambiguity.
Yep. And that's a perfect example of that too. Cause if we had a driveway build, we'd have our strip and stockpile or strip and export topsoil. We'd have our cut to subgrade, and then we'd have our import for our gravel. And so breaking those steps up. I see a lot of contractors, I don't know if it's specific trades or not, are just very hesitant to break anything out. Like everything's just like this argument of like, well, how much is it to do the work? Well, it's 5,000. And if you want it broken up, it's 0 because we're not doing the work kind of deal. Like I get that to a level. I don't care to break up labor, equipment, materials within bids because that's all part of that encompass scope item. But like kind of again, educate them a little bit. Like, hey, these are the steps that have to be done in order to build you a driveway.
You don't have to put a dollar amount on those line items.
Yeah.
They just have to see what it is, right?
Yeah. Have a little bit of explanation, not just build 100-foot driveway, $5,000. It's like, well, let's give a little
instead
explanation.
Of like, and you don't have to be over the top. Like you don't have to say we're going to use a D6N and cut it at 3. We're going to cut this out, this far down, this percent slope. We'll make sure it's ready for that. Like sometimes that's enough. They just know, this guy, that's what you have to do to make that. Oh, that's why the number's so big because I didn't realize you had to do all that cutting and stripping. I didn't have to realize this.
Yeah, because you just got to think that most people don't have any knowledge of that stuff. Like if they were going to DIY it, they'd back trucks up and they'd just dump gravel on their grass and they'd have a road that's going to fail on them immediately. Right. First rain, it's going to hell. So it's like, no, if you want to do this right, like these are the steps you need to take. And I think if you're a good contractor and you know those steps, it's not that difficult to type that up in your proposal on what the scope includes. Hey, we're going to come in, strip topsoil. We're going to spread it in your field there to lose it. So you don't have to export it, save you $500 in trucking. We're going to subcut it, lose that material too. And then we're going to import X yards at X thickness and spread it and compact it.
I think the one example I always use with trades contractors is internet, right? Mm-hmm. So if you had a shop and you got a quote from a guy to install like internet, routers, all of that, and just said, install internet and routers, $3,000, you'd have a million questions for him. Well, are you going to have, so it reaches 50 feet outside the shop. Do I have a computer here? Like that you generate questions and insecurity and is this the right guy for me? Where if this guy would have been like doing all this, this is how many hubs you get. This is how many extenders there are. You should be able to reach this far. $3,500. You're like, sign it up. Meets all my needs.
100%.
Because I like using that example because it takes it out of the trades.
Yep.
And something that you guys use every day, right?
Yep. No, that's a great example too. And that's where I could see, I remember this from doing more GC work with the trades I wasn't super keen on. You'd get that price and then you'd get them to the job and they're like, oh, well, that's not included in our bid. We only take it to right here. And it's like, well, shit, now I've got a scope gap going on. And that's exactly what happens. Yeah. I think that's it's a mechanism for some people that don't morally care about it to get their foot in the door and then pin people for more money later for that scope gap. And I truly believe that. And I don't care to operate like that. Like if you want to use me, this is what we're going to do. You're going to be complete. If somebody's cheaper, you're probably going to have a scope gap, but that's fine. Go right ahead.
Right.
Because we need to make a living here. Our equipment and our guys need to be paid.
Yeah. Man, this has been a great conversation. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
I have as well. We've been on for an hour and a half now, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well,
there was, if you're listening to this, like we have like a little Google form that we send out with some questions to learn a little bit about these guys before we do the show. So we can kind of do our due diligence and homework too, and be prepared for it. And one of the questions is like, is there anything you'd like to ask Ryan when you're on the show? And I get basic questions or nothing I can think of and all that. But yours, I was like, that's new. It's like, do you have any pride? I don't know if you remember writing that, but
I do.
Yeah. I'm curious to know where your mind was and where your process was on that. And I have a feeling I know where it goes, but I'd like to hear from you first.
Yeah, it goes pretty much directly back to the hiring process, largely. Yep. Yeah. So not specifically a question for you, but it's something I think about a lot, not even just in hiring and construction, just in life in general. But for our guys, it's like, hey, this is kind of a dumb way to do this, but like when you're done with a project and you think you're done and it looks good, would you take a picture of that and send it to your girlfriend, your wife, your kids, your parents? And would they be like, that kind of looks like shit, or be like, wow, that looks really good?
Yeah.
Just having that level of pride in things goes so far. Just giving a shit about something, care about something, you know?
So yeah, 100. I think pride, and I actually thought about this for quite a while before our conversation, so I can kind of articulate it better. But I think pride's a two-sided coin. I think taking pride in what you do, how you present yourself, all of that, absolutely amazing, right? You have to have it. Your crew's got to have it. When it comes to operating my business, I try to have as least amount of pride as possible, because I don't want to make a decision because that's what I want that affects the company negatively.
Very good point. I like that.
You know,
yep.
So like there's taking pride and stuff, and then letting, like cutting off your nose to spite yourself because you have pride.
Yep. And it's that cross where pride becomes ego.
100%.
Yep. Ego is a dangerous level.
So when you asked that, do you have pride? I'm like, I think he's going this way, but but I was intrigued. I was just intrigued to hear your concept but I love that.
Yeah, I like your take on that too. I like your take on that too, because pride, when it creeps, I do like explaining it. When that pride creeps to ego, that's where there's definitely a fine line right there. And I've seen it with a lot of people.
I mean, you can probably do it with, like with estimators, right? Like how many business owners have figured out their version of how to estimate it, and they think they got it dialed in just perfect, and damn, they're proud of it.
Yep.
And my guy, when I hire him, he's going to use my process to do estimates.
Yep.
Right. why does it matter how he gets to the end result? Like he's got his own process too.
Oh yeah.
Like, don't be so tied to your, that you hinder him. And
it's funny you say that. We've had items that I've reviewed with my estimator, and I went in and I'm like, I think I want this piece of equipment in here instead. And let's change up our labor spread and plug it in. And it's within like $50. I'm like, never mind, moving on.
Yeah. Right.
You're good. You just got there. You got to the same number, just a little bit differently.
Just a little bit different.
And the thing with estimating too is, you get locked into a contract based on it, but it is an estimate. There's many times that we look back at our scope items for what equipment and what labor force we have in there. And by the time we go dig it, that excavator is at a different job. We've got a different dozer. We decide to do it with the skid steer. Like it's about making sure the costs for those things are covered. You can do it with different machines and different labor force too. So it is interesting. We've definitely got our process. We went into, we got the Innate software last year, used it for like one estimate. And we're both just honed in on how we do it on Excel, which feels very old school. And we were trying to reduce some redundancy, but the bids have just never stopped coming. So we never really got into it. And the one we did, now it's so hard to go in and look at how we put it together because we're so used to that Excel. It's like, man, if it works, use it. Just use it. I don't care if it's Excel or heavy job. Heavy job's going to cost you some money, but or heavy bid. But
again, it's the tool doesn't make it work.
Yeah.
You could go spend $50,000 on a basin rover, but if you don't ever train your crew to use it and you don't ever really truly understand how to set up the base, it's not helping your business.
No, it's worthless.
Yeah.
It's just a piece of technology at that point.
So, and that to me is another one of those things. Everyone's like, ooh, new. Like, I say that as a software developer. So, right? I built software. I built software for the trades because I saw a gap where you guys were having to learn how to use data entry software that hope to God it fits your workflows, right? So this thing's trying to be built differently. But how many times you hear guys as they start growing, like, oh, you're doing commercial work, you got to use Heavy Flow. You got to use this CRM. You got to use.
Yeah, you don't.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Those are one of those things too with that bottleneck. Like there's many systems that I would love to implement that I learned at like Barnard, but it just doesn't make any sense to do like daily cost spreadsheets and stuff. Like that would be sweet to be able to, review those every morning, but I'd have to hire another staff member to do nothing but daily cost reports. And it just doesn't make sense. Like I feel like until you get to a certain level, there's a few things I've tried to implement over the years where it's like, it becomes more of a maintenance nightmare reminding people to do it. And you never even really look at it. Last year we were trying to do different budget spreadsheets and stuff. And I'm like, I've never even opened these to review them. Because you're waiting on invoices to come in and they're not really a snapshot. Like you get a pretty good, when things are going south in your gut, pretty quick. So some of those extracurricular softwares, budgeting, daily cost sheets, it's like, you can pull up your bid and be like, hey, we were going to haul in 150 yards here and we just hauled in 300. That ain't good. We made a mistake. But what do you do now? You got to keep building the job.
Right.
So,
and that's going to cost me. And you in your gut, you're like, yeah, you're pretty close to the number.
Yep. Got a pretty good idea.
Yeah. 100%, man.
Oh.
I want to wrap up with a non-work question.
Yep.
I mean, you told us where you lived at, northern Montana. Please tell me that you get out and enjoy different aspects of the outdoor to unwind and relax or to recharge your battery.
We do, especially in the summer. There's a lot of lake, a lot of river, a lot of golfing. None of those enough as I'd like to, but yeah, I'd say getting out on the river and doing some fishing is right up there. That and golf, two of our favorites. Getting out to the lake.
So I'm assuming you guys have amazing trout fishing.
Yep, trout fishing's good. There's definitely areas that are pretty fished out since it's gotten so popular up here, but there's plenty more. Just got to go further upriver. So
there's nothing better, in my opinion, than standing in the water wearing waders, using a fly line, and watching just barely see enough of it, grab it coming out of the water. Like, guys would say, hey, we can go do marlin fishing, or we'll go lake salmon fishing on Lake Michigan. We'll do this. Or my buddy would be like, hey, you want to go stand in the streams in northern Iowa and catch trout this big? Because they're all, they're just stream, I'm like, yes, I'd rather go there. I'd rather go there.
I agree. And I've done the deep sea fishing and all the other ones. I'm not a huge fisherman. It's something I'm trying to get more into, but we just went and we got a permit float here 2 weeks ago. So we went on the Smith River up here, and it was a 4-day, 3-night float. Beautiful, 90 degrees, clear skies, just a bunch of guys out on the rafts for a few days. And I was the only one that couldn't get a fish to the boat, but and I might have thrown a little bit of a fit because everybody was reeling them in, but still love it. Just something about watching the fly floating down the river, even if you're not catching it, just waiting for that anticipation. I was telling my buddy that was on the raft with me, I'm like, there's not very many things in my life that I completely forget about everything else. And fly fishing is usually one of them, because you're just so focused on your motion and watching the fly float. And the only other thing you might think about for a second is like, I'm going to take a sip of a beer quick. All right, back to it. And it's pretty
something
nice.
About that water noise in the background and
beautiful.
Yeah.
So we definitely get out and enjoy the summers. The winters, my wife and I get out of here and go south for the winter, because we shut down.
Awesome.
And we usually shut down January, February, get the equipment worked on. Guys are worn out from the hard push in the fall, and things are usually either too frozen, wet, and sloppy to do anything. So
yeah,
it's good reset for everybody.
It is, man. But good for you for taking advantage of that. So many guys say they want to do that with their downtime, and they just allow life to happen to them instead of for them. And I'm probably one of those.
Yep. I'm to a level too. We, last year was the first year we did it, because my wife does real estate, and 2 winters ago, we were both sitting in the house. I'm working on bids. She's working on her listings and everything. And she looks at me, she's like, we could probably do this from somewhere warm. Do you realize that? I'm like, yeah, you make a fair point. So last year we're like, all right, let's try this. So we went down to Scottsdale for January and February, and it was great. And it really didn't inhibit anything with work, because we've gotten a direct flight from here to Scottsdale. It's an 1.5-hour flight. So I was like, if a meeting comes up, something super important, I'll book the flight. I'll fly back.
And come back.
Yeah. I'll come back afterwards. Same thing for her. If she had to be there for a listing appointment or whatever it is, she could bounce back. And our estimator was working on bids. I was still hopping on with him, doing reviews and scoping out, making phone calls for other stuff. And it really didn't, in my mind, change anything business related for the winter where I was. That's the beauty of what we're doing right now through the computer, the phones. As annoying as they are, they're very useful tools, just like the GPS. So
100%.
Definitely could not have done something like that 20 years ago when you're just using a flip phone. I mean, you have to physically be there for everything.
Yeah.
So I think it's something to encourage people to give it a try. Go get out of town for a week and just have your phone with you and have the right people. And
that's like the litmus test, in my opinion. Can you leave for 7 days without the wheels falling off the bus?
Mm-hmm.
If the answer is no, guess what? You do not own a business. You have a job with a lot of overhead.
Yep. 100%. And it was up till about 2 years ago that, we'd go March, April, take my wife to Mexico or something for her birthday with some friends. And I'd just be sitting by the pool, fielding emails, phone calls, truck drivers, guys in the field with problems, whatever it is. I'm like, no. And then you get it must be nice to be on vacation. I'm like, dude, I'm just doing the same exact thing, just with a different view right now. And
a higher stress level, because I'd rather be enjoying the view.
And higher stress because I can't go walk out there and show these guys. And over the last couple of years, that's changed drastically, just with the people I've surrounded myself with in this business. It's like now when I leave, they're like, good, get the hell out of here. Go.
Yep.
I'm like, what do you guys need before I go? Nothing. We're fine. Okay. Sounds good. Even like had satellite signal out on the Smith River and stuff, and pretty much stayed caught up with my estimator, just seeing how some shit was going. He's like, aren't you supposed to be floating down the river fishing right now? And I'm like, it feels good. Because you're giving them the tools they need to succeed, and they appreciate that. And it's kind of a cool feeling for them to be like, dude, just go enjoy yourself. Like, you do enough.
Yeah. And I look back to when I had jobs and worked for other people, and when they would go on vacation, I was like, it's like an honor, and I had pride that I get to keep. And I was like, I'm going to do my damnedest to not have to call or email that person.
Yep. And that's how the crew of people I have is. They do not want to bother me, which I greatly appreciate. But I always tell them, like, hey, my phone's going to be with me. Like, if something comes up, it's kind of part of the gig. Like, call me. I'd rather, if you've got a catastrophe, I'd rather help you through it than you have to fend on your own. But like, I appreciate you not calling me with the little things. That's huge. I was the same way. Like, I'm like, oh, they're gone. I'm going to make sure shit's done, and even more shit's done.
Right.
They're going to be thrilled. And it takes,
when they come back, there's going to be less work for them to do when they left. Like, they're waiting for that big pile. I'm like, no, you're going to have, like, actually, you're cleared out for the next 5 days too.
Yeah, you're good. You need another rest day? Cool, do it.
Yeah,
it's a good spot to be in. And it just, I like to think I take good care of people, and it seems like everybody likes being here. You're always looking for new avenues to help take care of people more within the limits of, you know, what the labor market and everything is, and obviously financially. But I think people enjoy working here too, just because especially after my recollection, or whatever you want to call it, my epiphany a couple of winters ago, where I'm like, there's more to life than just working myself into the ground every day. Like, guys would be like, hey, we got a couple of guys that they like taking 2 weeks off in the fall to go hunting. I'm like, cool, we'll figure it out. We'll be fine. Like, that's your thing. That's one thing you look forward to all year, is you like getting out and hunting for 2 weeks. Like, I'm not going to tell you no because getting this parking lot ready for pavement is more important than your life. Like, go. I'll have the conversation with the GC, be like, hey, we're short one guy. He's out hunting. We're going to get it done. The rest of us will work on Saturday. We'll get it knocked out. And I don't think I've ever told anybody no about time off for something. You got a wedding with your family? Good. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Take an extra day. I don't care. Like, obviously, if everybody wanted the same 2 weeks, we'd kind of be in a pickle. We'd have to formulate through that. But as these things come up through the busy season, we had a new employee this year, and second day, he's like, hey, I've got this hunting trip for a week in August. Like, kind of got things booked already for you. Like, is it okay? You know how people get a little haphazard about asking for time? They're like, is that going to be fine? I said, yeah, great, go. And you could kind of see the look on his face where he was just like, oh, I thought this was going to be a harder conversation. It's like, no, go. We'll figure it out. It's
easy when it's a month, 2 months, 3 months in advance, right? Because now I have proper time to plan.
Yeah.
It's agitating when you tell me on Friday, hey, by the way, I'm not going to be here next week.
Yep. Even though most of the time I forget about it, be like, oh shit, it is next week. You're gone. Okay. We'll get stuff moved around. That's fine. Go ahead. It's kind of a big thing to me. I don't want to be the employer that's like, somebody's got their kid's T-ball championship or whatever on a Wednesday at noon. And I'm like, nope, sorry, bud. You got to miss it. Like, I'm not doing that. You go and you watch them and you cheer them on. And if we got time, we'll come cheer them on too.
100%.
So
I was just going to say that. I'm like, yeah, I'll join you.
Yep. I think that's very important. I think it's a very old school mentality on that. Cause you hear guys in their 60s or whatever, just, I missed everything. I missed all my kids' stuff growing up. I never went on a date night with my wife, all this because I couldn't get the time off. And it's like, man, that sucks. Like that you couldn't get one day off to go do that.
Yeah. And it's not that you couldn't get the time off. It's that you never created the system or the flywheel or the process.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and for employees and employers both. Or I think it's another one of those where that's where that older generations, they've got a lot of where their pride turned into ego, where it's like, well, I work 60 hours a week every single week for the past 40 years. It's like, why didn't you ask for a day to go fishing with your buddy? You know,
well, and Matt, I have fun with this. Depends on the event I'm at, but a lot of times I like to have fun with it. But I hate that when you meet somebody, the first damn question is always like, well, what do you do?
Mm-hmm. We've all got so used to that question.
Yeah.
I find myself asking all the time.
Yeah. Like, they're like, oh, so what do you do? And I'm like, I really enjoy golf this year. I used to road cycle a ton. And trout fishing is probably my favorite type of fishing. They're like, well, I meant, what do you do for work? And I'm like, oh, I thought we worked to live. I didn't realize that we live to work.
Or you'll get do you even work?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. I get that from, because my wife and we go do a lot of stuff. Like if we've got free time, we're going to go travel. We're going to go hit the river, whatever. And I've had a couple friends that, old friends, like hit me up on Instagram, be like, God, do you work at all? It's like, you don't see all the behind the scenes stuff. Like, yeah, I might be out hitting around to golf, but my phone's with me. I'm taking care of everything that I need to take care of. It's all happening. Like, believe me, you don't understand it from your perspective, but it's all, the wheels are turning.
And for me, if I'm going like a 3-day weekend, 4-day weekend thing, I can't tell you the last time I was not up until 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. just getting anything and everything done for work so that I wouldn't be bothered for the next 4 days. And I don't care if we're leaving at 6 a.m. I can't sleep. So I might as well just work until we leave that's for me. Like that makes me comfortable so that I can relax for those days. I'm like, well, I've got a ton done at midnight, 1 a.m. last night.
Yep. I agree with that. That last day before you leave is always a scramble of trying to think of anything and everything that could come up in the next 2-3 days and make sure there's a plan in place and somebody knows about the plan if this happens or when that happens. And that's getting through the emails and kind of figuring out the beginning of next week so you don't have that stress on Sunday. And and like I said, the phones are always on us. So it's not like you're it's not like your employee or whoever, where if they got their 2-week vacation and all inclusive and they don't even have to think about work one time.
Right.
They are 100% checked out. They don't know what's going on. They don't care what's going on. Like I know plenty of people like that. Yeah, I'm just going on my vacation. I don't give a shit about work. It's like, well, I mean, yeah, I get it, but I do think about it. I'm on my email every day, just checking and seeing if there's something that needs addressed. It doesn't matter if it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like it's just a habitual thing to make sure things are still going well.
Yeah. I designed my life.
Piece.
Yeah. I mean, I designed my work around my life, actually, if you think about it, because I wrote down what my non-negotiables were and how I wanted to live my life back during COVID. And I'm pretty sure that list was, I want to work wherever there's a Wi-Fi network. I want to be able to make money literally 24 hours a day. I don't want to have to go to a brick and mortar or 9 to 5. And then I'm like, all right, well, what kind of a business can I open that fits my life?
Yep.
Right. And that's how Skid Steer Nation was built. Right. I'm like, shit, it's an online store. I literally, somebody could buy an attachment 24/7. So, okay, I have the ability to make money 24/7. There's nothing that I can't do from Spain, Ecuador, or Mexico that I can't do from home. So it's all on, and I just, whenever I set things up, I set them up around that. Yep. Everyone's like, oh, it must be nice. I'm like, no, it's the architecture, right?
Yeah.
Like you guys started your business because you wanted to be in the machine.
Yep.
And then you had to learn how to be business owners, 99% of you.
Yep. And I think sometimes that comes through the burnout too, of being like, yeah, I gotta twist this a little bit. This needs to go a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I need to surround myself with some good people and give them the tools to succeed, and keep building around the life you want to live. That's having those non-negotiables is important. And I know I lose, depending on how hectic things are, I lose track of that. I'm like, I got to step back and be like, no, I was going to do this today. This is on my board. That's something that's important to me. Even if it's something like this, even though we rescheduled 6 times, I'm like, this is happening today. I don't care what's going on out there. I don't care what phone calls I'm missing. Like, this is going to happen today. And then I'll pick up the pieces afterwards.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen the screen of my phone light up I'm with you. Yeah, 100%, right? 100%. Oh man, well, I do want to be respectful somewhat of your time. I think we've done like a 2-hour interview, haven't we?
Yeah, pretty close.
Pretty close, man. So this was awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm glad you guys reached out. This is cool.
Yeah,
definitely very cool.
If you guys want to connect with Matt, shoot him a message, whatever else. We'll link his company website and Facebook page into the show notes.
Let's do the Instagram. I'm much more active on Instagram.
Instagram, check, got it.
Yep.
We'll do that. So you guys can reach out and tell him thanks for being a guest, or you learned something new, or you appreciate his transparency. So awesome.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
That's another interview on the Skid Steer Nation podcast. God, I love doing this stuff. It lights me up, fires me up, gets me excited, makes me want to dive back in to work. Oh, that 2-month break I took was needed, but getting back on the wagon here has been amazing the last few weeks. So, Matt, thanks for coming on the show. We truly appreciate it. I think a lot of guys are going to take a lot of value out of our conversations here. Guys, I could talk to you about the marketing company. I could talk to you about the book. I could talk to you about the software. But if you've been listening to the episodes, you already know I'm doing all that stuff. You already know the links are in the show notes down below. And if any of that intrigues you, please click the link, schedule a call. What's the worst that happens? We talk for 15 minutes. Damn, I can think of a lot worse things. So appreciate you guys being such good listeners to the episodes and helping us grow this show and getting this content out. It's because of that I enjoy keep doing it. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next week.